Welcome back to the starting lineup. Here we go, baby. It is rivalry weekend along with Keefer, Kai Gregory from K4 wins. And, of course, the man went 9-0 one weekend last year. I'm Tony Curry. Welcome to the fantastic weekend. We got Miami Pitt coming at the top of the hour. We got LSU, Oklahoma, and then, of course, the Iron Bowl later on tonight, 6:30 under the lights down in Auburn. I want to have a play on that as part of my bankroll contest coming up, but I feel pretty good about that coming up here. But let's talk about that Iron Bowl, a monster game. And, of course, because of the Alabama loss now, it actually means something for both Alabama and the Auburn Tigers. Kai Gregory, what's your thoughts on Iron Bowl?
You know, we talked about it on the podcast this week. Weird things happen in Jordan-Hare. Big games at night. So, that being said, I hate it. I will tell you this. I've never been to Auburn and the team I pulled for lost, including 6 Iron Bowls, I think, including many Tennessee games. And I'm not going this week, so Auburn's going to lose. Alabama's going to cover.
And it's really strange, too, because when we talked about that, Bama's won 5 in a row, and it just doesn't feel like 5 in a row, does it, Kip?
Well, I mean, look at the last 2. Tank Bigsby runs out of bounds, saves them about 45 seconds that were critical for Alabama, for Bryce Young to bring them down the field. And then last year was really bizarre. Hugh Freeze rushes 2 guys on the deciding play of the game it was 4th and goal from the 31-yard line. 4th and goal. And they hit the gravedigger play where they run Isaiah Bond to one side, all the other receivers the other, and Auburn has single coverage on their best receiver. Still probably the most bonehead defensive strategy of all time.
Truly, you can say in a rivalry game, you throw the records out the windows. This is so true for this particular game, because when I saw that line at 5.5, now it's up to 6.5 around there. When it's under a touchdown, you're going to have yourself a heck of a ball game, right?
Absolutely. Should be a great game. Still think Alabama's going to win and cover. Probably win by at least 10.
And such implications. Alabama in such a good spot just 2 weeks ago. Now they face being not only out of the SEC championship game, if they lose at Auburn, they are probably out of the playoffs.
And how good would it be for the Auburn Tigers if they could somehow get a victory down there?
Salvages their whole season.
And next thing you know, they're getting Coach Summerall coming in there from Tulane, the Green Wave, another team that perhaps is going to be in the playoffs, that perhaps will be taken over for the Auburn Tigers. Is Coach Summerall a good fit for the Auburn family?
What do you think, Kyle?
He did great, or he has done a pretty decent job at Tulane. They got Retzlaff in from BYU, and you really thought they were going to take off. And they've just had a couple of games where they've really just cracked the bed. And so, I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah, I do have some contacts at Troy University where he was before one of his stops, and they just can't stop talking about what a great coach he was and how sad they were to lose him. So based on that, I have some high hopes for Summerall. I think he's one of the up-and-coming coaches, but it's not the home run guaranteed hire that I think Auburn needs right now.
Big difference between Troy, Tulane.
That's for sure. Exactly.
Another game, brother and sister went to Ohio State. My brother told me yesterday morning that he doesn't care about a national title. He's already got that in his front pocket. He wants to beat Michigan. He said, if Coach Rod doesn't beat Michigan this year, I'm done. Even though he won a natty last year and he's lost 4 in a row. Does he get it done? Do they lose 5 in a row to Michigan?
You love the Big Ten, so.
Yeah, I'm so glad you deferred to me on this. I don't think Michigan's a very good football team, and I don't think Sherrod Moore is a very good football coach. Michigan's playing at home and has a lot of advantages, but Ohio State, even with the voodoo of the last couple of years, they're due to break through. I think they find a way to win, but I think it will be a close game.
You think so?
If Ohio State's receivers are still hurt, I think Julian Sayin proved last week he's not the great quarterback that everybody thinks he is. I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed. If it's 10.5, I wouldn't be surprised if it stayed within the number.
Question is, Lane Kiffin, is he going to Florida or is he going to LSU? It was Florida big time, then it went to LSU, then it went back to Florida, now it's pinging back over to LSU. Where is he going to be?
Or is he staying?
Yeah, that's the question.
That's the one thing I don't think he's staying. I don't think.
Yeah, I think he would have already ended all this, but I think he's basking in the spotlight. He is such an egotist, and everybody talked about how he's changed and everything else. This is what Lane Kiffin lives for. He is the center stage with all the lights shining on him. I still think he ends up on the Florida sideline next year.
If he's not at LSU, then does that change things? Does John Summerall not go to Auburn? Does he go to LSU, being in the state already with Tulane? How could that change? And if Alex Golesh is truly going to Arkansas, not Florida, who in the world does Florida get if they miss on both those?
It is truly a domino effect. You're absolutely right, because all of a sudden Florida becomes this job that everybody wants, and all of a sudden they don't have a coach. And it's like, how is that even a possibility?
The sleeper at Florida is Jed Fish, who's the head coach at Washington right now. He played at Florida. He's a Florida graduate. He took Arizona from about a 15-year losing record to prominence in just a couple of years, and went to Washington and is doing a pretty good job up there. So maybe that's a name to keep in mind.
Can't believe we're already talking about the coaching carousel, which means we're getting near the end of the season. It has been a fantastic year in the starting lineup. I want to thank the thousands and thousands and thousands of folks who tune in every single Saturday morning from 10:30, 11 o'clock today. Miami, Pitt, LSU, Oklahoma, and the Iron Bowl tonight, right here, 6:30.
Prime time.
ABC 3340. Thank you for watching. We got a whole show for you, folks.
Hey, everybody, it's time for the weekly update. Kip Keefer Sports giving you the best 12 teams in the country. We call it the Dynamic Dozen, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from people saying, well, you keep picking the 12 teams, but you don't rank them in order. Okay, this week we will go ahead and do that, put a number on them. And if you Big Ten fans are watching, you're not going to be too happy with my opinion, but we warn you every week. This show is biased. This is SEC-centric. So if you don't like the picks, just turn it off and don't watch it, because I do not have Ohio State or Indiana at the top of this poll. So let's, without further ado, tell you what I do have. I've got this week's top 12 teams, the best teams, which is what the committee's supposed to pick, and they seldom do. This is earlier in the week, so things will change by the time we air on Saturday. There's going to be some games played that could upset the apple cart. But we're going to give you on this day that we're filming on this Wednesday, the top 12, as we had the playoff committee do their top 12 last night. And of course, that's not based on the best teams. So the top 12, number one right now in America, the hottest team in college football, a team that's beaten top 10 teams 3 times this year, 3 times by themselves, is one more than Ohio State and Indiana combined this year. 3 wins against top 10 teams for the Georgia Bulldogs, the number 1 team right now, the best team right at this moment in the college football universe. Number 2, Texas A&M, still undefeated. They would be ahead of Georgia because of that, but they're not, because they have not played Alabama. They have not played Georgia. They have not played Ole Miss. They have not played Tennessee, Vanderbilt, or Oklahoma. It's hard to believe that they've not played any of the better teams in the league. Of course, they played Texas yesterday, and that could be an upheaval game in its own right. And we got to go quicker here, as Ole Miss is my number 3 team. So I've got 3 SEC teams, the best league in the country, in the 1, 2, 3 spots. Okay, then I'll go Indiana ahead of Ohio State, 4 and 5, because Indiana at least has beaten 1 semi-legitimate team in Oregon. Ohio State hasn't beaten any. Next up, we've got in the next spots SEC teams, Oklahoma Sooners and the Alabama Crimson Tide at 6 and 7. Moving down further, Texas Tech, who's going to win the Big 12, has been awesome, but the competition not anywhere near what the SEC faces. I've got them at number 8. Number 9 is Oregon, still hanging on, but very vulnerable this week. If they lose at Washington, they might be out. And rounding it out, I've got Miami and Notre Dame. And this is the surprise. The winner of the Vanderbilt-Tennessee game would be my 12th best team in the country. Tennessee, a unique situation. They have lost to the number 1, number 3, and number 6 teams in my poll, and that is the best strength of schedule that anybody can bring to the table. Whoever wins that game is the number 12 team, but they probably won't get in anyway because you have to take the best of 5. So that's my poll this week. A lot of folks might not like it, but that's just what you're going to have to put up with, because my goal is to give you right today the best 12 teams.
Oh, I'm here with Sam Sport from Spanish Sport, Monty Bowert's famous grandson. How you doing today, Sam?
I'm doing good.
Man, you look good, brother. I remember the first of the year you told us that Auburn wouldn't win 7 games, and man, you do it when nobody else do it. How did you know Auburn was going to suck so bad this year, Sam?
Well, it's around the same scenario every year. They get a good roster. Well, they can recruit well. Every year they think they're going to win 8 games, and then it's below 6 They haven't had a winning season in like a while, am I right? But I knew they weren't gonna win 8.5 or whatever the line was. It was definitely gonna be below that. And they're at 5 wins right now. They gotta get a win against Alabama to make a bowl game.
You seem like you smile and seem like you enjoy it when Auburn does bad. Does that make you happy?
Yeah, I don't like them.
I'm with you, brother. We're brothers right there, brother. It's Auburn, ain't we? I hate Auburn worse than beats. What do you hate Auburn worse than?
I hate Auburn worse than Alabama.
All right, I hear you, brother. Let's talk about the game. How you think this game's going to go? How you see it working out?
I just think we really need to get the pass game going. They have the number 99 pass rated defense in the country. If Ty Simpson can get back to doing what he was doing earlier in the season, I mean, he had a good game on the road against Georgia earlier this year. If he can have a good game offensively, that would be nice. But also, you got to open up the run game. That'll get the play action going. And if the play action's going, then that's a good sign because that means that we're running the ball well. And I think we'll win the game if we can do that.
What do you think about this kicking situation? I'm about ready to run this kicker off. How you feel about it?
He's our best option, though. I don't know about booing him off the field, but
did you boo him last week? I booed. A boo came out of me, Sam. Did you boo him?
If we need him to make a kick, I hope he's ready.
Yeah, we better cheer him then. We better pat him on the back, haven't we, Sam? We better pat him on the back. What's your score prediction for the Iron Bowl?
I'm going to go with 31-17 Alabama. I think Ty Simpson has a nice day. Over 300 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns.
Hey, Sam Sport, the famous young precautionator right here on the starting lineup, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Sport will Spanish Sport. I got it out, Sam. Hey, let's hit some of these other games right quick. Tennessee Vandy, who you like?
I like Vandy. Tennessee hasn't been as good since the Georgia game. They got beat by 17 on the road at Bama. Vandy's looking pretty good this year, so give me Vandy.
Ohio State, Michigan, Sam Sport, who you like?
I like Michigan in this one. 4 wins in a row, so give me 5.
For 5 in a row, Michigan. Come on, Sam, I like it. It's bold. Hey, everybody, Sam Sport from Spanish Sport. Give us a big roll tide before you get out of here, buddy, and say hello to your family.
Roll Tide.
Hey, that's my boy right there. That is Sam Sport from Spanish Sport, and we'll be right back on the starting lineup.
Hi, this is Terry Quillian, and welcome to the Coach's Corner, where this week we have Dan Lanning from Oregon. Full disclosure here, I'm usually a big Dan Lanning fan. After all, the guy cut his teeth coaching in the South. He was a graduate assistant at Alabama, spent a couple of years at Memphis, but then came in as a defensive position coach at Georgia, rising up to be the defensive coordinator. So I have typically pulled for Oregon and wanted Dan Lanning to be successful. Now, it was very interesting when he first took that job at Oregon State. Their first game with him as the new head coach in 2022 was against the University of Georgia. And you know what? You heard all the national wizards of smart saying, wow, Dan Lanning, he'd been the defensive coordinator at Georgia. He knew all the secrets. He had the keys to the kingdom. He was going to be able to show everybody what was what. And as a new member of the Big Ten, he was going to be able to knock off the University of Georgia. Want to remember the final score in that game? 49-3. Didn't go the way you thought it was going to go, Dan, and Wizards of Smart did it. But subsequent to that, I've always been rooting for Dan. Now, interestingly, that game in 2022 was the last SEC opponent that Dan has faced in his career. But this weekend, he went out and he played mighty USC and secured a victory over USC, who is now 8-3 on the season. And after that, Dan was able to say this conference is a really good conference. It's competitive. We don't play Chattanooga State today like some other places. We compete. Dan, what a shot at the SEC. Well, that's really interesting, and I find it fascinating that Dan Lanning at Oregon wants to make a strength of schedule argument against the SEC. Let's take a look at who Dan has faced so far this year. He started out with mighty Montana State. Ooh, that's scary. Then he played Oklahoma State, another very scary team who is the rock bottom team in the Big 12 this year. They're currently 1-10. Yeah, that's real competitive, Dan. They moved on to Northwestern. Okay, they're in the Big 10. They're 9th in the Big 10, and they're 6-5 on the year. He played mighty Oregon State, one of the 2 remaining members of the Pac-12. Oregon State's 2-9. Yeah, that's big time competition. Now he played Penn State, which at the time was supposed to be a big deal. He won that game by 6 points. Penn State turned out to be not such a big deal. They're currently 5-6, and to tell you just how awesome they are, they fired their head coach. After that, Dan moved on to Indiana, a real team, where he lost that game. But he followed that up with a get-right game against the mighty member of the Big Ten, Rutgers, who is sitting at 5-6. Then he played Wisconsin, who, believe it or not, they're below Rutgers. They're sitting at 4-7. He moved on to Iowa. It's supposed to be a great team. They're 7-4. He beat them by 2 points, 18-16. And then he moved to mighty Minnesota at 6-5. Yeah, Dan, that's a real murderer's row that you have faced there. I liked what one fan put on Twitter because he said, their resume is ass, but Dan Lanning wants to act like he's run through the gauntlet. LOL. Boy, isn't that true? And David Pollock summed it up even better. David Pollock was saying, yeah, the Big Ten, which is so tough that Ohio State was able to rest their 2 top receivers in a conference game this weekend. Basically, he said, in the Big Ten, you can bring your C game and still win. So you know what, Dan? I just have to say one thing, which I'm sure from your time in the SEC, you'll understand exactly what I mean. Bless your heart, honey.
Oh, welcome to the Legend Cave, baby. It is Armbo Saturday, and it's real simple. We got to put that elbow on Albert. We got to drop that DDT on their butt, and we got to count them out. 1, 2, 3. Ain't no time for playing around, ladies and gentlemen. It's real simple. If we go down to the pet cemetery of the SEC and lose today, I can tell you right now we are missing the playoffs. I'm missing my last brain cell. Me and Bear may move to Canada. No time to play around, Alabama. It's real simple, baby. It's survive and advance. I don't care if you beat Auburn 8-7, 6-5, 3-2. Just beat that little brother, pimple face, ugly self. Put that elbow on him. No time to prepare. It's our ball. I don't know if I'm going to make it. We cannot lose this game. This is the Armbo. We got to handle business to make the playoffs. Coast the Boar, Alabama. Be nasty, mean, ugly Alabama today. Put little brother in the headlock and spank him, spank him, spank him. It's Armbo Saturday. Remember, it's just a game. Don't be like me and Bear. For this day's over with, we will be sports insane.
Hey, it's Case Keefer back again for another edition of the Vegas Heaters. I'm a longtime sports bettor, sports betting writer, along with sports editor for the Greenspun Media Group, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly. And we are so back this week. Big week last week in the segment. 2-0-1 on the bankroll picks, but more importantly, a plus 180 winner on the Las Vegas Grand Prix. We had Max Verstappen getting it done. Always feels good. A few more futures pending from that we'll have to touch on at another time. Not quite settled yet, but looking good there. As you know, I always like to mix it up, do some different sports in this segment. A little tough this week with Thanksgiving, mostly football, but I decided to find a way to do it anyway. I'm going to start by sharing one of my favorite futures. Now, if there's one thing we have done well in this segment on the show the last 2 years, it is golf majors. I believe we've had an outright in 5 of the last 8. Only hit 2 this year, but 3 out of 4 the year before, and I already have one bet for the Masters next year. I love this one. It felt like stealing. I thought it was going to move, and it hasn't really. I bet Tommy Fleetwood at 40-1 to win the Masters. Now, I know more widespread. He's like 25-30. That's fine, too. I just can't believe it. This guy is playing like the second best player in the world. He's picking up wins left, right. He won the last time he was on American soil, the Tour Championship. Game fits at Augusta. He has top 20s in 3 of the last 4 times he's played at the Masters, including a third a couple years ago. I just think this number is insane, and it's still about his reputation as being a guy who can't get it done, but he's getting it done left and right now. I know it's early, but if you want to get the best prices, do it early. Tommy Fleetwood to win 40-1 in the Masters next year is our first bet. Next, we will go to college basketball. I wanted to have some thoughts on college basketball games today, but at the time of recording, not a whole lot set. With all these MTEs going on, the best one, the battle for Atlantis, and the headliner, it is just a Vanderbilt kind of year. I love this Commodores team, and I think everyone is going to catch on if they ultimately win the battle for Atlantis. Might have to slay a demon in St. Mary's from last year that knocked them out of the tournament. I just think they're so much better this year. I looked at them to win the SEC, but that's crashed really far. They were as high as 30-1, down to like 9, 10-1. I couldn't quite do that. But what I am going to do, and I would urge you to jump on it this weekend if they're going to win the battle for Atlantis, as high as 16-1 to win the Final Four. Or not to win the Final Four, excuse me, to reach the Final Four. I think that's just a little too high. So kind of a long shot vibe on the Vegas Heaters this week, but I am taking Vanderbilt 16-1 to make the Final Four. Love Mark Byington, love the way they play. Lots of threes, lots of defense. Really love the way this Vanderbilt team sets up. One NFL pick before we get to my bankroll picks. We're going to go back to Monday Night Football where we cashed with the 49ers -7 this past week. I like the under in the Patriots-Giants game. I assume Jackson Dart will be back, but they are going to tell him don't run around. He's not going to be his same self. They're going to try really hard not to get him hurt again. I think that's going to cut down the offense. Meanwhile, the Patriots suddenly have injuries stacked up on the offensive line. Will Campbell carted off last week, new left tackle, and it's going to be bad weather here. I just can't. This is just way too high for me. I think this should honestly maybe be on the other side of 45, so under 47 in the Patriots-Giants. Lastly, the bankroll picks. It's the last full week of college football. So I think for only the second time ever, I'm going to go with an all-college football slate, including 2 SEC games. I know I haven't done that this year, but I really like one that I think a lot of people probably won't be on. LSU plus 10.5 against Oklahoma. I just watching both these offenses is like watching paint dry lately. I don't think either team's going to score a whole lot. Yes, I expect Oklahoma to win to solidify their playoff spot, but I just don't see them winning by double digits here. Really similar teams, low-scoring game. Give me plus 10.5 with LSU. Also in the SEC, I will lay the 2.5 with the Missouri Tigers against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now, it's in a condensed time period since he's just an interim coach, but Bobby Petrino, everywhere he goes, it is just a disaster by the end, and I think you've seen signs of that with this Arkansas team down the stretch. Never could play any defense. Now the offense has kind of lost some explosion. I don't really think that they're dotting their I's and crossing their T's. I don't think the detail is going to be there anymore. Missouri -2.5 with Bo Prabula back for the second straight week. And finally, you know I like to stay local a little bit in Las Vegas. I'm going to go with the Fremont Cannon game, the biggest trophy in college sports. 600 pounds between UNLV and UNR, which you know as Nevada, but Nevada-Reno. UNLV's kept the Cannon red for 3 straight years. I think it is going to be 4. I'm surprised UNR's gotten a lot better, but a lot of money has come in on them at the time of recording. There is -7.5 out there at some pretty prominent sports books for UNLV. Even up to 8.5 where it is elsewhere is fine, but I'm taking UNLV -7.5 officially for my final pick. So UNLV, LSU, Missouri, those are the bankroll picks. Let's see what the other guys got.
Tom, once again, for the starting lineup bankroll, you know what this is? It's the bone looking back at the Legend Brothers.
Oh, man, it's time to start talking some, you know what?
Oh, let the smack man get right after it with this play here. Bankroll, what you got there, Legend?
Hey, the Legend Brothers are back on a winning streak this year. It's real simple this week, baby. We like Alabama -6, and we like Ohio State to blow out Michigan and end that streak. Take that 2-team parlay. The Legend Brothers play of the century, Alabama, Ohio State, baby.
Kip Keefer, who you got on your big play?
Well, I'm so far last, bringing up the rear. I'm kind of like a Big Ten team in that bottom tier of 9 teams. I'm right in there with the Northwesterns and the Purdues. So I've got to go for the big nuke this week. I'm playing the 3-gamer because that can jump me right up into that rarefied air of Legend and Tony. I'm going to go with, I should have worn that shirt. I like the Volunteers to just carve up the Vanderbilt defense. They showed me a ton last week. I kept hearing how hurt they were. They just played with Florida. Could have beat them 60-3 if they'd wanted to. I like Tennessee -2.5 again to end the Vanderbilt dream. I also like my sleeper of the week. You've heard Dan Lanning all week on every interview show. He's every place on the campaign trail, talking about how great a schedule and how much Oregon has played, how well they've played. There's only one reason for that, folks. They go to Washington on Saturday, and Dan Lanning knows they're probably going to get beat. Kalen DeBoer owned him 2 straight years when he was at Washington, and now I think this campaign is because He knows they're probably going to get beat and maybe knock them out of the playoffs. I love the Washington Huskies plus 6.5 at home to beat and shock the world with Oregon. And in the Iron Bowl, I'm going to go there, but I'm not going to play either side. The line is 47.5 in points. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think Alabama's going to win somewhere in the neighborhood of 24-17. So I'm going under in the Iron Bowl for my third leg.
Todd Gregory goes 7-0 on games we made him pick last year. He came with 2 of his own. He went 9-0. 9-0 in one weekend. That's what kind of K4 wins. That's what that thing kind of took off. He now has his play for.
And he's right behind Legend Brothers and Tony. So how are you going to make your move this week, Kyle?
I'm only going with one game, and it's something that nobody's going to think about. The total was 66 when we walked in here, like over 66. East Carolina and FAU.
Oh man, he's really Florida Atlantic, folks.
That's right. And there's a lot of other games that I really like. I think
formerly coached by Lane Kiffin.
I do like Michigan getting 10.5.
Yep.
If in your game, I think if you get Washington at 7, if you can buy up to that, I think that'd be great. But I'm going ECU and FAU over.
How about the East Carolina, Florida Atlantic?
Oh, that's what that means. So there's 2 things that Auburn is better than Alabama at.
What would that be?
First of all,
hiring bad coaches.
First of all, the women. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. I dated an Auburn girl for 5 years. I'm telling you, Auburn women are just a blast. They're just fun. They're good looking. They're sexy. They're fun. Alabama girls, wonderful. Great.
Beautiful.
But I take the Alabama girl to my mom and dad. I take the Auburn girl out back and have a good time. That's what I love the Auburn women. And their football team on Saturday. The Auburn Tigers shocked Alabama on Saturday. They're going to win the game outright.
Wow.
I feel ugly game coming up. I've looked at the trends, 4-4. Everybody's 4-4. There's no trends going anywhere. Weird things happen at Auburn. They got everything to play for. Something tells me this game's going to be an ugly game, 20-17. The longer Auburn keeps it close, the better their chances are winning the football game. It's at 6. I'll take the Auburn Tigers plus 6 for $1.50 coming up on Saturday. Someone's not going to be happy.
Can we get that psychologist back?
Yeah, Dr.
Can we get that psychiatrist back that we had last week? Hey, get that psychiatrist back and let's see we need him.
Yeah, and find yourself an Auburn girl after the game. They'll be really happy.
Alabama women. Alabama women, baby.
The Iron Bowl is going to be a classic. We can't wait.
It's going to be fantastic. You're watching the starting lineup. Enjoy your full day of great college football. Iron Bowl tonight at 6:30 right here on ABC 33.4.
T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. We have liftoff of Season 9 of The Morning After. Terry Quillian and Kip Keefer at the controls, delivering a payload of unlimited, invaluable information and entertainment, pinpoint analysis, and unique perspective unavailable anywhere else in the universe. A supersonic show in an orbit all of its own. If you love college football and fun, get on board. Boldly going where no football show has gone before.
Hipster, are we there yet?
On our way, Ter. Definitely on our way.